Welcome, everyone, to the Indie Reds podcast. I'm your host, Joe Dilling. With me tonight, Michael Nead comes back from triple secret probation, and Brian Smith. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hey, Joe. What's going on, Michael?
I
always wait and go
second. It was a joke on the triple secret probation, Michael.
Yeah, why am I always coming back from probation every time?
It's fun. It's fun now.
We've had Jim locked in a cage in a basement for about a month and a half now. So.
Well, I mean, heck, it puts the lotion on his skin.
Yeah, Joe had me feed him the other week.
Yeah, put the lotion in the fucking basket. Oh, shit. So, yeah, my son's teacher might be listening. So, hello, Miss Davis. Anyway, all right. So, we've got a packed show tonight. We're going to talk about the Carabao Cup and the aftermath, as well as scheduling. We'll look at the VAR-tastic trip to Villa. A bit on the performance, but I have a feeling, guys, it's probably mostly going to be talk about VAR. Then we're going to look at Liverpool's win against Genk in the UEFA Champions League. We're going to look forward to City, and then we have a special announcement at the end of the pod. So stay tuned till close to the end. I know you probably tune out plugs, non-plugs, but whatever.
Well,
okay.
This is a non-Star Wars Watch Pod announcement. This is completely different and separate and new, and you haven't heard about it yet. So, yeah, hang around.
We kind of hinted at it, but there's going to be a little bit more information than now. It's supposed to the other day. So we'll see how this all works out, and we'll go from there. So, guys, ready? Let's just go ahead and start jumping in.
Let's do it. Let's just fly in like a tackle from behind. Go for it.
Oh, shit. That's been another discussion. Okay. Right, so, excuse me. All right. So, Arsenal brought a little bit stronger side than what we put out to play in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool at beautiful Anfield. And the team kind of was what a lot of us were expecting. A lot of youth. Sepp Vandenberg got his first start. Nico Williams. We got to see our boy Harvey Elliott, and Kelleher was in goal. A lot of back and forth. Liverpool's down. Liverpool's tied. And then it ends, and it goes to penalties, and Liverpool come away in 5-4 in pens and advance on to the next round of the Carabao Cup. Exciting game to watch. Lots of goals if you're kind of a neutral. One of those things. Kelleher, I guess, depending on a lot of people, either had a stinker or was okay. Same thing with some of the other kids. I guess Sepp Vandenberg looked pretty good. I was listening to this match because I didn't have ESPN Plus, and Harvey was wreaking havoc. I guess Nico Williams impressed quite a few people as well. I know it's been close to a week now, guys, but anything that you can pull back from the depths of your brain that you want to talk about aside from the shootout?
Go ahead, Michael. What do you got? It's been a long time ago. I'm going to have to sit and think about this.
Ox got 2 goals that game, did he not? He got that screamer.
No, that was Genk. I don't know.
That was the way he's been scoring a lot lately, so it's easy to get confused.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get to another one.
Yeah, 4 goals in 4 games, actually.
Yeah.
Oh no. Ox definitely had a screamer outside the box.
Oh yeah, his outside the box screamer. I'm still thinking about the one from Genk and going, holy cow, how'd that one go in the second one?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, the outside of the boot off
the outside
bar,
of the boot off the bar. Yeah, that one.
No, but he scored against Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So no, I mean, this was. I had to also listen to this match, and then I watched it later. And I'm really disappointed that this isn't a match that I was able to go to the pub for, because any game that ends up 5-5 is going to be fun, and it's a lot more fun when I can scream with all my friends at UJ's than sit at my desk and silently try and contain my heartbeat.
the joys of working at home. Have it on. Thank you, Alexa, and and hopefully that it doesn't switch to some random match, which was happening today. Brian, anything else really? I mean, were you impressed with any of the youngsters? Any of them you're like, I don't know how I really feel about that. But I do want to talk about at least one thing from the shootout. So save that.
All right. Well, Kelleher, I knew his first name for a minute there, and now so many things have happened since this match that I've forgotten it already. But we finally got to hear his first name pronounced, although I think I heard 4 different pronunciations. I didn't think Sepp, in the back was very good at all. Gomez, I think, was trying to cover a lot of space that they ordinarily wouldn't have to cover, and it's good to see Elliott out there and some young players. That's exactly what we expected to happen. Nobody expected a 5-5, and like Michael said, those are fun. Well, they're fun if you win them, with a late winner, or they're fun if you win them in penalties. And I know I'm kind of saying the obvious there, but I also listened to this match at work. I wasn't able to sneak away. I used to be able to do that, but I'll trade being able to go to pretty much every single weekend match now, and as opposed to being off on a Wednesday afternoon from time to time, or Tuesday afternoon. Because I'm in a much better spot now. But I was listening to it, and then, would kind of step away for a minute, or take a call, or handle a problem for an employee, what have you. But it was absolutely a crazy upside down, back and forth kind of match. And it's good to come out with a win. It's good to have those young players playing. I'm all for, especially in this competition at that stage, having as many young players play as possible, and an occasional first team player, or even a starter, or maybe a substitute that needs some match fitness or some sharpness, getting him out there and getting some time. And that's exactly what we did, and we came away with the win. We won't call it officially 3 points like United likes to do in their cup matches. We'll just call it a win. But did you guys see that? Who was it? Was it making fun of a United player? It could be any of them, but I think it was it's either Martial or somebody called it. Yeah, we got the 3 points today after the cup win. So.
It might be Marcus Rashford, but yeah, I
think it might have been Rashford. Let's just call it Rashford.
There we go.
But anyway, we get the win. A lot of young players get some experience, and play at a packed Anfield and against a good team. They had Arsenal's no second division club, even though they're not having a terrific year. They're up there, and they started some young players as well, and. It was a back and forth crazy game, and I enjoyed kind of going back and going through the Indie Reds Facebook page and kind of reading through some of the comments, and you grab a highlight or two off of Twitter and watch it and see some people screaming and yelling and some of that kind of stuff. It was fun in retrospect to kind of go back and read through that. So as though I didn't watch it live, I kind of got to experience some of it, as though I was sitting there watching it live. But I have a thought on the shootout as well, but I don't want to stomp all over you, Joe. What do you got?
Well, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a rundown. So in case you hadn't heard, Curtis Jones comes in late in the match, and I think it was pretty close to stoppage time, and he slated that if it goes to pens, that he is going to go fourth. And Divock Origi is going to finish it up, especially after a brace. It's kind of hard, especially the tying brace, the second goal ties it. It's kind of hard to not go away from him. He's pretty clutch almost recently. But the word is James Milner comes in, slots home. Adam Lallana slots home. Rhian Brewster slots home. Kelleher puts a stop on Ceballos. And let's be honest, he was close on a couple other ones first along there also, and I think he even guessed the right way on Ainsley. I can't get his full name, and it's a hyphenated name. But anyway, but Curtis Jones steps up to Divock Origi and says, "No, I want to go last." The kid's 18 years old. Let's just say 18 years old, and he's like, "I want to go last in the penalty shootout." At the cop end. That's some big balls. And he comes in and it's the eventual winner. Solidifies the victory for the team. It was, it was a great goal too. It was a great one, man. Loved it. What about the big balls on Curtis making that call? Brian.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up, and I had a feeling that might have been what you were going to bring up. And to ask Origi, Origi scored some big goals where the big shiny trophies involved.
It's Tuesday night, and Barcelona. He made Barca look like shite. Divock Origi. Yeah. That's the fucking song we were singing.
Get, several thousand, middle school scousers to all scream his name and say cuss words. So, that's quite something to say. I want to take this. So. Good for Curtis. Talking about the big balls. I don't think we should make a banner about it. But,
I had a feeling you were going there.
But good for him to step up and bury that penalty and get us the win. So Yeah, I love it. It shows, it takes a lot of confidence and just confidence in your skills and your talent to say, hey, I want to take this. And as we're going to praise, Jones for stepping up to do it, I also want to praise Origi for saying, yeah, go ahead, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he could have easily said, no. And I don't think anyone would have begrudged him saying that, but he didn't. And he said, go ahead and bury it. And it was a good penalty. All of our penalties were terrific.
Michael, have you seen or heard the new Curtis Jones song?
No, I've
they
not.
came around on this one. All right, it's to
I don't
the
know
tune,
it either. You got to sing it on your own.
It's the tune to Peter Crouch, and so I'm probably gonna butcher it. I'll get it here if I can, but,
I think
it goes,
I did see this.
He's big, he's red, he's got broccoli on his head. Curtis Jones.
No, I saw that tweet. Are they actually singing that?
I don't know.
I
I don't think so.
one person
but
tweeted that.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. It was one of those things, but yeah.
I will say
He's
this,
got broccoli
though.
on top of his head.
If we're going to sing a song about something on top of your head, I want the Elliott song to come next.
Okay, Brian.
What rhymes with man bun?
Go ahead. Mike should talk about something first, Michael, and then maybe we can come up with a line for it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Michael, you want?
Oh, yeah. No, okay. So I think that it has to be mentioned that, if this is not just urban legend, and if Curtis Jones actually stepped up to Origi and was like, I'm going last. It seems that, and I don't know if it's Klopp specifically or if it's some of the youth coaches or what, but we've got a lot of youngsters with some massive cojones on them. I mean, you think of all the shit that Trent pulls, and specifically that, the corner kick to Origi, that, that gets us to the Champions League final. The confidence that Gomez has to play such a high line, most of last year, pre-VAR even.
Yeah.
It's something about our coaching staff and our team atmosphere is creating a lot of confidence in some young players who very, very well deserve to have that confidence. And I could not be happier about it.
It goes back to, in my opinion, it's the culture that Klopp's developing. Most of these guys they're training with the first team for the most part, but Klopp had Pep Linders come on and do the pregame press conference because he knew the players better. I mean, that's literally what happened, and he was great at the press conference. A lot of people are already saying, "Oh, hey, let Steven Gerrard take another job first. We want Pep Linders coming in when Klopp's gone." And I'm not ready to talk about that. I'm not ready to think about Klopp leaving yet, and I think that's for another time.
But you're going to bring it up anyway.
No, I just threw that in there for what people were saying.
I'll say it. If Klopp leaves anytime within the next 3 or 4 years, I don't know if Gerrard's going to be, I don't want to say ready, but I don't know if he's going to be the best pick at that point. I'll just leave it at that because we don't want to get off of the weeds here. But
yeah.
Rangers to this team, a couple years from now is a big, big step.
Even bigger.
Admittedly,
like Gerrard.
By a man that is admittedly filled with self-doubt about his coaching abilities. I want him to develop the cojones that our youth does before he comes back here.
Fair enough.
So what we have to hope for is that the German national team does not need a manager in the next 4 or 5 years. That's what we have to hope for. That's really all we have to worry about.
I don't think Klopp has any interest in the German national team until he has a walker and an oxygen tank.
I don't know. Yeah, we know that the open Bayern job's not going to pique his interest because I don't think he's a fan of Bayern. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he's at least tempted because they're going to make an approach.
Yeah, but for a man that is this involved with everything every day, who James Milner recently said in an interview comes back from vacation with new drills that he wants to run and blah, 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 blah. He's not taking a national team job. And he will take a sabbatical before he takes a national team job. Full stop.
Oh, yeah. He'll take a sabbatical after he leaves Liverpool anyways, I think. I don't think he goes right into another job.
He took a sabbatical between Dortmund and us. So
yep.
I think Michael's right.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Especially, I think FSG would match any offer from Bayern. Yeah, I think Bayern is going to make a play, but I don't think Klopp's going to be tempted too heavily. It might mean a new contract. Who knows? We'll see.
So does the Harvey Elliott song have to be to the same tune?
No, I don't know. But what I'm thinking of is if there is a real Curtis Jones song, how are you going to miss Casey Jones by by the Grateful Dead? You know, not go that route. I mean, Curtis and Casey, same syllables.
Syllables.
and you got the Jones in there, and I think I don't know. Give me a half hour, maybe I could come up with something to work. Give him a little bit more time when you see him play a little bit more, but you know, I think that's almost a fitting or a natural fit or something like that.
The Elliott song has to be something about he's young, he's fly, he makes Harry Kane cry, or it could be
his words make Harry Kane cry.
Yeah, I had another one. Something about he's left-footed. Oh, he's on the left. Wait, no, I lost it. Something about this, something he was 12, and then something rhymed with the 12, and I can't remember what it was. something he's 12, Harry Kane can go to hell, and then he sings his name. Those are the only two that I came up with on the spot here. So we'll work on it.
All right,
People can tweet us or hit us on Facebook or whatever. I'm sure you can come up with something better.
Well, immediately after the match, Klopp gets in and brings up the scheduling conflicts that we are going to have. Sorry. Said he probably he apologized. Didn't he apologize to everybody in the EFL because they're going to now have an issue. At one point in time, he did say that we're probably going to if they schedule it the way that we expect them to, they're going to we might have to withdraw because we're supposed to be in Qatar to play in the Club World Cup. You only get invited to play in the Club World Cup if you win the Champions League, and it's only happened like one other time in recent memory. We've gotten to play in that, so winning that I think is a bigger approach to the club than the Carabao Cup that they play in every year, and half the people call it Mickey Mouse competition, anyways. So. Then today the fixtures are released. The Carabao Cup game is on the 17th of December, and then 24 hours later, Liverpool are supposed to play in Qatar in the Club World Cup. So the club is trying to figure everything out, how they can make this happen. They even invited Aston Villa to Qatar. Might be tongue in cheek, but Klopp said that after the match. So we'll see how this all plays out. But let's just roll let's look into Jim's Dungeons and Dragons crystal ball. And Michael, what do you think he does with the team? How he splits up the team? Because they're going to be in both competitions.
I think it's going to be the under 19. What does it go? U23s, U19, U17?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. U19 team.
All right. Fair enough.
Kelleher will be there. Sepp Vandenberg. Pick all the kids that played against Arsenal and then fill in the blanks with, Harvey and who else didn't play?
And they're going to have a coach. I mean, because Klopp's going to be in Qatar. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Pep Linders.
Pep Linders will do it. You're thinking of players like Larouci and
yeah.
Some of the guys that we saw up in South Bend this summer, and some of the guys that are playing. There was a youth team game against Genk this morning. Prior to the Champions League game, and Larouci played in that, and then. I don't know if you're throwing this to me or not, but I mean, it's I think I wouldn't be surprised if Brewster goes to the Club World Cup because it's potentially 2 games down there, right? So
3, isn't it?
3, yeah, 3.
Oh, good Lord! Well, we're not going to completely punt the or just kind of discard the Carabao Cup. I don't think, but I think Michael's right is going to be Elliott and Larouci. Maybe Brewster. I wouldn't be surprised if Brewster isn't a sub. And
Keogh will be back from international duty by then.
I've been calling it the Well, there's two ways to look at this. One's realistic and one's just kind of comical. The realistic one, I think, is the reserve team or the U23s or the U19s and Shaqiri, and let those guys play the Carabao Cup. That's the realistic one. That's not the funny one. The funny one is, have you ever seen the video about of Virgil van Dijk talking to little kids and asking all the questions about picking your nose and all that kind of stuff? It'll be those kids and Shaqiri.
Some of them might be taller than Shaqiri.
So the one kid can reach down and hand Shaqiri the armband, and he can put it right on.
Oh man! So I tend to agree that I think he's going to go with a soft side, and I don't think he's going to want everybody else. He's going to want Lallana. He's going to want Keita, Knox, and all those guys. He needs those guys at the Club World Cup. So I mean, yeah, we'll definitely see. I mean, that's kind of what I think everybody's expecting, and they're going to give it their best. Because I think the EFL's gonna make them give it their best, or get some heavy fines, or Brian, we were talking a little bit before the show. Maybe they get sanctioned a little bit, and that's not what they want. I mean, that looks bad, especially if you win the league this year. If you get sanctioned, or maybe they're like, well, you didn't take this seriously, so we talked to the Premier League and we're docking you 5 points or whatever.
There's absolutely no chance.
Yeah,
if that happens, I'll cut off my own leg.
All right, that's fair. But sanction, any kind of sanction, like maybe they don't get to be in it next year or whatever. Or get all their prize money back.
The FA building would be burnt to the ground by the next morning. No.
Well, it is Guy Fawkes Day. I mean, we are recording this on Guy Fawkes Day, so maybe they might blow it up.
If that happens, New Balance could sue the Football League and win.
If that happens, the Football League is done.
So all right, I'm going to go to the statement that the club made today, and you can look this up online, but it's just a 3-paragraph statement and then some ticket information. So, in fact, I just might read it off here because I'm pretty quick. So, the club said this today. So, and I quote them: as a result, we'll be utilizing 2 playing squads simultaneously, with one squad participating in the FIFA Club World Cup in Qatar and another in the Carabao Cup. The club would like to take this opportunity to underline that while this is not an ideal scenario, it's an outcome which was arrived at with the best interest of the competition, our fellow clubs, and ourselves as a sole motivating factor. So not ourselves, but those 3 things, guys: the interest of the competition, clubs, ourselves, and the sole motivating factor. Okay, so back to the statement. LFC would like to thank the EFL for their efforts to accommodate us, and we can confirm alternative dates were discussed, but ultimately none were considered suitable without compromising the scheduling of the competition itself or placing an undue strain on our playing staff. So I think they tried to move this around, and so that's the end of this is me talking now. That's the end of the statement. They tried to move this around. It wasn't going to work. We couldn't move the semifinals list into January. There was no way to play it in December. I think they had a genuine discussion about it. And I take the club's statement here as at face value. I think they tried to move it around. We couldn't. And we're going to play 2 teams. So and we have to play 2 teams. I think it's going to be great. I mean, imagine if we win both games. And maybe it takes Origi coming off the bench to score against Aston Villa on the 17th and jumping on an airplane and flying down to Qatar and scoring the winner, the next day is coming off the bench or something crazy. I mean, who knows? But it's unprecedented. It's going to be interesting. And, we talked a little bit about the team. I hope we somehow win both games in advance, and I think it'd be great.
Yeah, me too. I want to. This is the one trophy I don't think that they have in the trophy or in the trophy cabinet, and I'd love to see it. Get that added on the wall in Melwood. So yeah, there's going to be scheduling conflict. Let's go ahead and move on, though. I think we've kind of beat the horse enough as it is per se. So moving on to this past weekend, Liverpool traveled down to Aston Villa in Birmingham. Let me rephrase that. Liverpool traveled down to Birmingham to face Aston Villa. And many people, including Villa supporters, thinking it's going to be a walk in the park for Liverpool. And it goes out and it's fine. And it was not so much that let's just be honest, it didn't really happen that way. The Villa sets up like a lot of people expect. They're going to park the bus like it seems like everybody's going to against us. And then they attack first not really attack first. They score first, and there was a little bit of discussion about it being offside, but VAR looked at it. Our buddy Atkinson looked at it and said that he was onside and gave the goal to Villa. So Liverpool take it. I mean, I don't think there was a lot of complaining. I don't think a lot of people were upset about it as it was going on. And it just knew that it was close, and it could have probably gone either way, and so they were fine with leaving it as him onside. Liverpool will need to battle back, and they appear to have done so later in the first half. Bobby Firmino, however, is ruled offsides, and that's where this takes a sour turn, at least for a lot of Liverpool fans. We'll get back to it later, but VAR looked at it and ruled that Bobby Firmino was offsides. I don't know how. We'll chat about it more. I'll have some solutions. Like I said, VAR discussion is probably going to take up this whole or most of this section. However, Liverpool are battering Villa. It's another one of those cases where the goals just aren't coming. And then late in the match, our hero comes down from Scotland and scores one off of his head, and it's a goal from Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was his first Premier League goal. Andy Robertson. Second Premier League goal. I think he got one.
Certainly
his
first
season.
one ever with his head.
First one ever with his big old 5 head. And then the game is in dire straits. City had been down, and they too had mounted a comeback. And the Liverpool team is sweating it. They want this win. They want the 6 points, 6-point lead against City. And then lo and behold, a corner kick from Trent Alexander-Arnold finds the ball of another 5 head in Sadio Mane, and he finishes cleanly, and Liverpool walk away victorious at Villa Park. So as we mentioned earlier, there was a lot of discussion about this VAR call. People that aren't Liverpool fans getting involved. I've seen Piers Morgan, as well as Andy Gray on BN. He went on a major tirade. If you haven't seen it yet, I would go check that out. Saying that Firmino was onside and the goal should have stood. That obviously changes the complexity of the game, or changes the game entirely if that goal does count. But then the Premier League comes out and sides with Martin Atkinson, saying that Firmino's armpit, and that was the word they used, his armpit is in an offside position. So his arm is off, but it's not a part of a playable body, as they say. So that means, something that he can actually score. He can't score by using his arms. But he can with his shoulder, which is on the underside of his armpit. So we'll count that as
your shoulder's on the underside of your armpit.
Other way around. Sorry. Thanks, Michael. Whatever. I did say correct me if I'm wrong, but I was talking about something else.
I've just never noticed this about you, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have my arm just kind of flops. Anyway, so the armpit on the other side of the shoulder, which you can score with. So technically, I guess it would be considered him being offside. However, somehow the video of the lines and the stills that we've seen show how Atkinson adjusted the lines once or twice, and then when he draws the lines, especially from Bobby's body, three times, and then when he adjusts the lines from Bobby, and you can even see this in the still, and I have far from wonderful eyesight, that the lines aren't even straight. His lines are crooked. Some people have gone in and done rulers and all of that. And if it's, I don't know, at some point it needs to be like in other sports where if it's too close to call, the advantage goes to the attacking player. I believe, or not, maybe not attacking, it would say offense player. Like for instance, in American football, if it's a shared possession, so like the wide receiver and the cornerback both catch the ball or deemed to catch the ball, it goes to the offensive player. So they give the advantage to the offensive player, and it's considered a catch for the offense instead of an interception. So you have to go somewhere along that. But I was on the stand. I was on my hill, willing to die for that. Bobby was onside, and Martin Atkinson screwed us. Bryan was at a tailgate in beautiful Notre Dame, Indiana, and he was getting texts from Jim and I, and saying, I don't know, man. VAR looked at it. If EPL said he was on, or he was offside, then I guess he has to be offside. You just quick glanced at it. Granted, you'd been drinking a bit, so you have that as well. But it seems like, Bryan, maybe you've come around and agree that Bobby was actually onside and the goal should have counted. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, you're right. He was looking back at it, and you described the lines, being at least the third time he drew them, were not vertical, right? The line connecting. I don't have a problem with where the line was drawn, kind of in the armpit, really, because the top of the shoulder, which you can score with, where your shoulder ends and your arm begins, that small line there, right? You can score there. That's the same place as your armpit. So I don't have a problem with where the line began with on Bobby's body. It's an unfortunate choice of words by the Premier League to use armpit. They should have used top of the shoulder, and we might not be talking about this. But Atkinson's lines, that third one they drew, was not straight. It was wrong. And you can see that the Andy Gray video you're talking about on beIN Sports is like an 8-minute, video you can find on, YouTube, all over Twitter. And they talk about them. I can't believe I guess this is the real footage of these lines being drawn. But if you draw that line straight down from the armpit or shoulder, straight down to where he was at, and you do the same thing from the defender's knee, Bobby's onside. And that's what happened the first time he drew it. And maybe he was double checking or whatever it was. I still don't know if it's Atkinson's drawing these lines. Is this some technician? And I have a problem with either way. If it's Atkinson, he doesn't know how to use the equipment properly. If it's a technician or some other type of, tech savvy person, because Atkinson probably couldn't open his mail, without, hurting himself or whatever the idiot does, then we have someone that's not a referee kind of manipulating this stuff. So either one of those situations are a problem. I think it's Atkinson that's drawing it, but onside, the lines were crooked. The lines were drawn too many times, and it's a problem. It's a problem. He was onside, and I didn't see it live. If I was at UJ's watching instead of, up having a few drinks with some folks up north, I probably would have reacted differently. But going back and watching all the footage, again, kind of a unique experience not to watch it live and go back and kind of dig into it and take my time and look at some perspectives and read about it, watch all the videos. It's unfortunate. It's not a problem that VAR doesn't work. It's just the process wasn't used correctly in this instance. The lines weren't correct, and a goal was taken away when the player was onside.
Yeah, and I think, Michael, I'll come to you in a second, but, one of the things for me was Andy Gray says, I can tell you right now with the naked eye, without the lines drawn, that Bobby's onside. I mean, look at where his knee is compared to where the Villa player's knee is. I mean,
I don't agree with that. That image is not from a good angle to make that decision.
Well, I'll be honest. I'll give you
problem. Well, here. I got 2 comments on this entire thing. A, for the entire first 8 games of the season, 8 match weeks of the season, there wasn't a single linesman that you could find that would throw up a flag for shit, because they were very specifically instructed that if it was at all close, that you just let it play. Or, unless it was so blatant as to be obvious to anyone, you let it play. And we have gotten hung up on that. We've had our defenders had to run an extra, half a mile a game chasing down attackers that were blatantly offside in the first 5 games. And here, where to the naked eye, Bobby Firmino is blatantly onside, it's close. I'll give you that. It's close. But the only reason this isn't overruled and that the goal doesn't stand is because the linesman puts the fucking flag up. So obviously, if the directive hasn't changed in the middle of the season, then this linesman is at fault. Point number 2 is that why is there only one angle at which they are viewing this? I mean, these are square stadiums. We live in a 8K universe now where, they could have a fucking drone over the stadium, give you a better angle for this. The fact that they're only using one camera on each end or whatever the hell they're doing is obscene, because if you had more than one angle of this, then Martin Atkinson can draw all the shitty lines that he wants to, and there's no way that he can validly reach the conclusion that Bobby Firmino was offside.
Here's the thing. I remember, back when the Matrix, the first Matrix came out, the big thing, at least for the Super Bowl, was they started doing that Matrix shot, where Neo is frozen in air and the cameras circle around him, because they have cameras all the way around him. Well, that's what they did for the Super Bowl. They could do that, and they could zoom in and they can freeze. Now, granted, I think that it's way too expensive and way too many camera operators, et cetera, to do that, and to do that in a league game every week. And that's why the NFL doesn't do it. But still, maybe more cameras than just maybe 2 guys on a pedestal, on the sidelines, giving you a camera idea. Maybe the Premier League or whoever does the actual video, maybe it's BN, maybe it's Sky Sports or whatever, needs to invest in some camera operators. I mean, heck, they might be having some employment issues, period, if Brexit comes around. But I digress. We don't talk politics on this podcast. But
only when I'm on, Joe.
Yeah, we just tweet about it.
Sorry, I tried not to. Anyway, so Brian, I agree with you. There has to be something that we can get better camera angles on this. Whether it's some dude on the concourse in a with a oh, come on, Joe. Or we put a GoPro on the linesman, or something stupid like that, just so that they can see what is going on out there. Someone with there we go, a cameraman with a Segway who just runs up and down the sidelines like they do for track events in the Olympics. Granted, there's not the space. I get it. And you would have a cameraman blocking your view or whatever, but something has to be done. It's like you said, we have 8K cameras now. It's almost 2020. Something should change on this. Brian, Mark Clattenburg, good old Clatts, comes out today. You shared an article with us today.
Yeah, it was a good piece, wasn't it?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and recap that for me for a minute?
Oh, shit, I was going to throw it to you. I mean, I read it.
Well, okay, fine. I'll summarize.
Actually, during the champion, and you'll have to fill in the.
Okay, so essentially, what Clattenburg's saying is that the EPL is going with a different system. Different system than the rest of any other top league in the world is using. Yeah.
And he's advocating for better use of the system in better circumstances. He's advocating for a more clearer direction to linesmen. To Michael's point about when should you flag and when should you not. Hell, to Michael's point, we've given up corner kicks after a guy was blatantly offside, and the linesman leaves his flag down, thinking, well, if there's a goal, they'll look at it, and we end up conceding a corner.
Yep. Several times.
Yeah, that's happened probably to every team. That's probably happened to every team in the league, So Clattenburg's railing on that. He's railing on all kinds of things. But ultimately, he comes down to that it's a complete disaster when you have an individual sitting in a booth looking at a monitor, making a decision and telling the referee what to do, instead of that person who is, generally speaking, knowledgeable and understands what's going on, unless it's, Martin Atkinson, who doesn't know what the hell is going on at all. His armpit is on the top of his head.
And there are a lot but Brian, there are a lot of us that think that he has it out for Liverpool. But a lot of people wonder if maybe he really did after that.
Yeah, he suggests that the match official goes over and takes a look at a screen, and instead of letting the VAR official making final decision. I've got no problem with that. I mean, this whole idea of slowing things down is, you know what? If we're going to do this, let's do it right. It doesn't have to be that slow. It's not like it's going to take, hell, it took VAR 3 minutes to figure out if Dele Alli handled the ball the other day. There was 2 3-minute delays for VAR.
And they still got it wrong.
Exactly, in this Spurs-Everton game. You can't tell me that we couldn't do this better, especially with this Bobby goal. Hell, we measure goal line technology, measures the position of a ball down to the millimeter, whether it crossed the line or not. But we are relying on 104-year-old Atkinson to draw a straight line with a mouse.
It's ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense.
That's a bit apples and oranges, but I think we get a lot closer to it with multiple camera angles.
Absolutely.
But then you also run across. But then you also get the guys that are afraid to make a call and think that VAR will pick it up, and then the VAR official, is like, well, I don't want to overrule the guy on the field. I mean, we've talked about that before, and I don't know if I want to go down that stream again. But I mean, something needs to be done. It sounds like Clattenburg's got the better option. It sounds like the rest of the continent has a better option, including the United States. And wasn't Clattenburg when he left being an official? Didn't he go to the MLS to bring in VAR? Because the MLS brought it in for like a half of a season, if I remember this, and I thought it was Mark Clattenburg.
I don't recall, Joe. That could be. I know he kind of left Premier League refereeing earlier than I thought he would. He was really, really good. And it might have been the last Premier League referee to ref a big game at a World Cup. But we'll have to look that up if he did help do the MLS thing or not. But
I wanted to say because
he was good.
There was some famous, but some official that was leaving his position. And I could have swore it was to help bring VAR into the MLS. It was to help kind of coach the refs per se. Oh, who's that one that we hate, that we hated? He's gone now, though. I'm trying to remember. I can see he was fat. Phil Dowd. Where's Phil Dowd at now?
John Moss just refed that game.
Where's Phil Dowd at now? Oh, we'll look that up. Sorry,
he's at the Wendy's in Plainfield.
Oh man, we'll get there at some point. But anyway, Phil Dowd not calling matches anymore in the Premier League. He seemed to always we always seem to get him in our big matches, and it pissed me right the heck off. But anyway.
Well, Klopp and all the other managers in the northern half of the English island or the British Isles, really just England, I guess. The Premier League referees kind of association, I'm getting that acronym wrong, have already met with the managers in the southern half of England. They're meeting with the managers of the northern half on Thursday of this week. So probably by the time a lot of listeners get this, that meeting has happened. So I think they're going to talk about maybe adjusting how this is used, or maybe talking about what should be flagged and not flagged. I think we might see some changes announced at the Christmas break. That's my prediction.
That'd be wonderful if we did, because it's not working. It's a broken system. We can see from other sports
it's working pretty good. It could be better.
It could be better.
Broken.
Yeah, but which day is it working well, Brian?
Which day is it working well?
The inconsistency in the calls and the implementation across the board are the largest issue. You literally
out of
no
100
idea
VAR calls this year, how many of them have been satisfactory for you, or for the average football supporter?
I'm not going to go there.
Is it 70 out of 100? Is it 80? Is it 90? Is it 20?
I was about to say 70 is still a D, so
I think it's much higher than 70. I wasn't asking you what you thought it was.
No, I couldn't begin to guess.
That's okay. That's fair.
Yeah,
if you don't know, then that's fine. Then just keep dreaming about it, I guess.
I think the biggest sting for the Liverpool fans is that this is the second week in a row we feel that we've been wronged by offsides, especially when, by VAR calls, I guess, and offsides. As well as it seems that they keep getting it wrong, but in Spurs' favor. And, don't get me wrong. There are times when maybe it should have been called. I just remembered of another one that Atkinson looked at, and it has not gotten nearly the publicity. But the Sadio Mane got carded for a dive. And I was listening to the audio while my boys were at basketball practice, and you hear, I forget who was in the booth with Steve, but he was saying that, well, he stepped on his boot. That's why Mane fell over. And apparently it showed on the replay that Mane was there was contact, but I didn't see to verify or anything like that. So I'm not going to go down that road. But, it's just another thing where it feels like everyone wants to say that Liverpool is either, oh, woe is us, we're getting screwed, or that we're divers. Thanks, Pep Guardiola, for saying that Mane's a diver, by the way.
He did dive on that.
I didn't see it, so I can't talk on it. I'm just going,
you're right that
Steve?
You're right that there was some contact on Mane's right boot. With the defenders, kind of a boot on top of a boot thing. But Mane's upper body just kind of does this gesticulation thing that's all kinds of terrific. Both of his arms fly up into the air.
Did he embellish? Probably.
That's
absolutely. But is an embellishment a dive?
Sorry?
But is an embellishment a dive? If there's contact, there's contact.
Yes. If there's contact, then react to the contact.
All right.
And do what your entire body should do, what the contact would cause it to do.
Brian, I just like being schooled by you, man. I'm on your side.
Well, no, I'm not trying to school anybody. I'm just maybe I'm not being very clear, or hell, maybe I'm wrong.
Good.
But
no, you're good.
Nobody in the history of this game or in any sport has had their foot stepped on, and their shoulders, torso, head, and arms did what Mane's did in any sport.
Yeah, you didn't watch enough of the Colts
should
wide
that
receivers.
Should that be a yellow card for diving because there was contact on the foot? I understand why some people might think that there shouldn't be, and that's a very valid point. I personally don't have a problem with it. If he hadn't thrown both his arms in the air and thrown his head around based on getting his foot stepped and then fallen forward, he might have got the call, but he overdid it. He oversold it, and he got a yellow for it. And I think there's not a whole lot of talk about it because of how Mane reacted to his foot getting stepped on. I've stepped on Jim's foot and Lot B many times. He's never thrown both his arms to the sky.
Well, that's probably because he was pouring beer at the time.
That could be. He does that a lot.
So yeah. Anyway, back to what I think I was getting at, Brian, was that I think that there's a better way. I like the idea of having a centralized kind of official. And that's their job. Like they have like for instance that the National Football League uses. They have that central office in New York, so they're away from the game, and so that maybe this is why some people don't like it, because they're not there feeling like they need to be persuaded by the crowd or whatever. But they have the tools to make the right call in the booth in New York, as opposed to in the
upper tier of whatever stadium
or whatever,
you're in the bowels of the stadium.
Yeah, looking at a video monitor in the gantry.
National Hockey League does the same thing. Centralized location. You have to have more than one reviewer doing that, because you could get
at the same time. I get
calls
it.
come in at the same time, but that's doable.
So, I mean, but the thing is that it goes back to that pride of the game is fast and it's going to be right at 2 hours, and and we're not going to have these delays. I mean, granted, does sometimes with the NFL does it suck? Does it suck to sit there and wait? Yeah, but so do those freaking TV timeouts that are like 5 minutes long, when you're in the stadium. But
I really don't think that's as big a factor as people make it out to be.
And that's fair.
And I mean, I think what it boils down to, well, I mean, there was 12 minutes of stoppage time in the Spurs-Everton match. We all know why.
Yeah.
Because of that horrific injury. And, so obviously no one's crying about that because it needed to be added on.
Yeah.
Stoppage time is stoppage time. If there's an extra 2 minutes on average per game because of VAR getting something correct instead of lines being drawn crooked, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that. I think ultimately what the leaders in the game are having a problem with is for more than 100 years, the one single match official in charge of the game has been absolutely in charge of everything. And his decision, which it was for 120 years now, you can say his and her decision is, women's football is grown and et cetera. But the decision of that sole match referee has been so pristine and almost revered that what they say goes, that this league is having a hard time taking that away compared to some other leagues. I think that is the reason why you don't see them going over to look at the screen to review their own recalls, because that would add a little bit of time. But that's also why you're not seeing these VAR referees wanting to do a whole lot of decision making that's going to contradict what the referee just said or saw.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just silly. Like I've said before, I want the VAR official, like we do in lots of other sports, and it would apply well here. Watch the video, make a call completely independent of what the referee saw, did, said, believes, intent, otherwise. Just watch the video and make a call. Doesn't matter what the referee has already said or did. Don't even communicate with him. Did you see this? Did you see that? Watch the video, make a call, or watch the video and tell him, go look at the video, and I think you need to take a look at this again, and then let's move on.
Yeah,
it's doable.
Michael, Bryan and I have been kind of dominating this. What do you think?
I'm getting tired of VAR being a conversation point every week.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I'm there with you.
I feel like we talk more about VAR than we do about the football anymore, and it's becoming a chore. And I think that if the entire purpose of VAR was to reinstill confidence in the ability of the referees to make the correct decision in the correct situation, then it has failed blatantly.
Do you guys ever watch Paul Machin's videos, from Redmen TV? He does the match vlogs.
Occasionally, I usually listen to his stuff.
He's got a good video of the Liverpool Villa match that we're talking about that he filmed from the first or second row of the away supporter section. And because they're a business and they kind of monetize their content, you can't film the goals directly and show those, but great videos of the goal reactions and the two late goals that we scored, and players tossing shirts in the crowd and other supporters. I mean, it's really cool. But these same Liverpool supporters, who I would adore every single one of them, have a beer with all of them if I ever met any of them. They, Villa score the Trezeguet opener, and you can openly hear them saying, come on VAR, kind of rooting for VAR to do its thing for us, or hoping that it would, or wishful thinking, or anywhere in between. But then later on, when the VAR is happening, the Villa supporters are chanting, fuck VAR, and singing it.
Yeah. And
then Bobby scores and it's taken away. And these same supporters that were cheering and hoping for VAR earlier, Liverpool supporters, are now screaming at it because it took Bobby's goal away and that they hate it. None of them have seen a single replay, but they love it when it's for their team and they hate it when it's against them. I find that hypocrisy childish. I find that childish and ridiculous. Watch the video, make the call, and let's move on.
It'll be that way in any sport. I mean, I go back to the NFL because they had instant replay forever, and then they took it away. I felt like we had it when I was a young kid, and then they took it away, and then they brought it back. And you're in the stadium, and you're hoping that he didn't get 2 feet down on that catch. You're in the other team. I mean, you're hoping it, and you're like, oh man, replay got it wrong. I mean, it's the way it is. We're all biased to an extent, and we want it to give us the advantage. But it's like a lot of other things that we hope that it's going to all balance out in the end. But it depends on, for Liverpool fans, it depends on how many times we get Martin Atkinson fucking us over, whether it's the match official or the VAR official. So anyway, we're gonna draw the line here. I don't want to talk about this anymore. We're already going long. We said it was going to be a jam-packed episode, but we're going to have to get there at some point.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so moving on to the match that happened. Oh man, heck, only a few hours ago. It was time for UEFA Champions League, and Genk travels to Liverpool and tries to take their unbeaten at home in a European Cup tie record and reset it. Liverpool. Once again, when I was listening to the match audio, and was it Mark Lawrenson that was with Steve today?
Yes, Mark Lawrenson, one of the best number 4s we've ever had.
Yep. So Mark Lawrenson was in there, and definitely Liverpool biased. But I heard him say early, we need to get an away goal, or we need to get a goal early. That's what Genk doesn't want to happen. And I haven't looked up times, but we got that first goal. James Milner,
14th minute.
It was somewhere right around there.
James Milner's shot deflected. Gini Wijnaldum. I listened to make sure VAR doesn't call them offsides before I'm screaming. Type into Alexa in the announce function. Gini Wijnaldum, and the boys are going. Thought that was cool as hell. Anyway, Liverpool are ahead 1-0. Then before the half, Genk have a corner kick, and it finds the head of, name escapes me, a Genk player, Samata
or Samati.
I think it was Samata from Genk, and it's level going in at half. Liverpool again, chances, not converting the chances. But we did have a different lineup today. No, didn't start with Mane, didn't start with Firmino. Started
Didn't
Salah.
start with Robbo either.
Didn't start with Robbo either. James Milner was playing left back. Had Salah and Ox was in the Bobby spot today, and Divock was out on the left. So it was a little bit different lineup, but having Ox in, I mean, I guess once again had to go off of what everybody was saying. But Ox played great in that position and ends up getting a goal in the match, and Liverpool win 2-1, top of the group in UEFA Champions League. So who impressed you guys in this match? We'll start with you, Michael. Again, so let me preface this. We haven't had time to go back and find replays and watch them, and because it is a normal working day, we have to listen to the matches and be productive at work at the same time. So we'll keep this part short.
Or maybe just listen to it. Maybe just listen to it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Michael, who really kind of impressed you from listening to the match audio today?
Actually, I don't think Ox. It didn't sound, nor from the clips that I've seen, Ox did not have a great first 30 minutes. I think he was, who I really, really wish wasn't injured, because what this game needed was a greedy prick somewhere between the midfield and the front line to just wreak havoc. This game seemed tailor-made for a little bit of the atomic hamster, Xherdan Shaqiri, and I get it. Ox needs minutes in his legs, but he was playing. I mean, it sounded like he was playing damn near, right in the middle, behind Mo for a good portion of the first half, which just, he doesn't play there, and I don't know. I'm glad that we got out of it. I'm more disappointed that Napoli couldn't beat Salzburg today, so that the group was finished. We were just fighting for first or second, which I personally don't care about. But it looked like it was a decent match. I'm probably not going to go back and watch it in its entirety at this point.
Bryan, any takeaways from the match?
Well, one terrific thing about this match, I like everything that Michael said there, by the way. But one other great thing about this match is the Liverpool trainer and physical staff had nothing to do. So nobody's hurt. Nobody's really injured, and that's a great thing, especially with the City match looming. So I agree that Ox was didn't sound like it was terrific today. I heard Keita's name a lot. I think he was again. I haven't watched it either. I've watched some highlights. I listened to probably 85% of the match. I now know the actual distance between my computer and how far my Bluetooth earbud will work. It's just down and across.
The 35 feet that they say it is it?
No, it's longer than that actually. I was kind of surprised. So, yeah. So, but I know the distance. So anyway, I heard Caden's name a lot, and visually he may not have done it, but it sounds like he was taking some players on at certain points of the game and maybe had a couple of good moments. He only played 74 minutes. Ox played 75, and Divock came off really late for Bobby for a couple minute cameo. But nobody hurt. We get the win. I was a little surprised to see Salah play the full 90. But I think Klopp might be trying to. I don't know. At first, I thought he hasn't been very good because of this ankle deal he's been dealing with. But if that's the case, Klopp would play him 90 minutes. I think Klopp might be trying to kind of play him through this slump and give him some time and give him some minutes, and maybe gets a couple of goals and kind of turns the corner, with which kind of goal scorers or streaky goal scorers tend to do, or at least guys that score tons of them like Salah does. But generally speaking, I think we were solid and. We had most possession. We certainly had the more shots and chances, etc. And Steve and Mark Lawrence, were talking about how they might be playing a back five, and then they talk about being a back three. It seemed like they were a little confused about the formation, and I think we might have been as well. Heck, on our goal, Origi, who was kind of playing up front, ended up being wide. And kind of putting the ball in the middle. Wijnaldum was the most advanced player. Obviously, he scored the goal from close range, but he was ahead of Salah and everybody, even before the ball was ever played in. So, Klopp's made some adjustments, and we started attacking a few different ways, and just kind of dominated the game, and we're deserved winners.
I think it was more of I was really happy to see Salah take that kind of not really trying to force it as much as he has been. He got the assist on the Ox goal. Let's be honest. He was looking to play his teammates a little bit more than what he usually does. And I don't know if maybe that's instruction, or maybe, like you said, Brian, it's a way for him to get out of his slump that he's kind of been in. And he'll score a goal here or there, but it's not like go on a tear like he did his first season with us. So I think he also had a couple times in the box where he could have finished and he just mishit. So he's still working his way out. And I think it was more of along the lines of Klopp trying to give him time on that ankle, especially before Manchester City this weekend. So I thought it was one of the things I saw going around. Chris Bascom posted, the talk all week's been how we're in City's head, but it sure looked like City. We're already looking forward past this match in thinking about Manchester City. Manchester City's in our head. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say that that's not the case. What do you think, Brian?
Are Manchester City in our head?
Yeah, in a fact that we were this was almost like a trap game to an extent where we were looking past this match and trying and thinking too much about City.
I didn't really come across any of that, so I don't agree with that. We didn't start Firmino, Mane, and Robbo for a reason. Those were important guys on Saturday, and we still got the win.
Yeah.
So, if they were completely in our head, we would, or if we were really worried about Saturday, we wouldn't even start Van Dijk or some of those kind of players as well and play.
Maybe not that.
Lovren and Gomez or whatever. And I know we couldn't do that because they just played a cup match, but, we put a good team out there. We could have just played for a 0-0 draw, taken our point and been 2 points behind Napoli, and we'd still be 3 points ahead of Salzburg if we had done that. I'm sorry, 4 points ahead of Salzburg if we had done that, and we didn't do it. So if they're in our head, it's the first time ever an unbeaten team at the top of the table 6 points ahead of the second place team's ever been rattled by them. This team's too good. They've played too many big matches for that to take place. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I don't know. Michael, I'll come to you, man. What do you think?
I think we put out the team that we needed to win the match and rested the players that we needed to because they needed to rest. I mean, we were likely to win this match. You know, anything can happen, especially if you feel the weak inside. I get that. But we were likely to win this match more comfortably than we did. But even if we hadn't, even if we had drawn, even if we had lost, the group wasn't over for us. I mean, it's not going to be fun, you know, having Napoli come, and it's certainly not going to be fun going away to Salzburg if we had to get a result there on the very last day. But this wasn't a make or break match for us, and I think we played it exactly like that. And I don't think we're lucky to come out with a win whatsoever. You know, like I said, I think we feel a team that was perfectly capable of beating Genk. And, you know, I absolutely agree with the call. I don't think it has anything to do with Man City being in our head or not.
Fair enough.
Now, that being said, Man City resides in my head most days of the week. So it's you know, but I am not Klopp. I am not I am not Liverpool's head coach.
And I don't think it was that. It was more the players that were actually on the pitch. And I don't know. Granted, okay, fine. I didn't really fully read the article. I was just throwing a topic that I was hearing, and I could see it happening. But I mean, sure, second half. I mean, everybody was giving Ox the best numbers on the pitch, man of the match, ties, and everything like that. So I don't know. We won't go there because it I don't know if I feel comfortable because I don't know how great of a grasp I had on the match. So to do that, so. Speaking of Manchester City, man, big match this weekend, Sunday at 11 a.m. 11:30 a.m. Michael said he was going to be there at 11 a.m., probably sleep till about 10:56, hop on the bicycle right up the Monon Trail to Union Jack Pub in beautiful Broadway.
Man, that's not a bad idea. And it's awful cold.
I have some Carhartts you can borrow if you need them.
I've got my coveralls. I can wear my coveralls, Joe.
I might be in attendance. Don't hold your breath. We'll talk about that offline. Brian,
better be.
I'm gonna do my best. Brian sounds like he's gonna be there. So, man,
I'm gonna be there. I got plenty of clothes to keep me warm that I was wearing outdoor at a football game with very good use of VAR that I saw this past weekend. So, you just watched play once and you knew what was up.
So anyway. It's a match that could send Liverpool 9 points clear at the top of the table. That's something that all Liverpool fans want, even though it is still very early November. And Brian, it's hard to stick to that. Don't look at the table until after Christmas. But man, it sure is fun right now, isn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's going to be quite a game. I mean, this is the biggest game this early in the season I can ever remember. Usually we're on the other end of this, you know, chasing somebody down or, you know, needing to do this to close the gap and get a result, etc. I don't think we'll set up to, you know, draw this game or, you know, try to do that or anything like that. We are at Anfield. Nobody's beat us there in a long time. Hell, nobody's beat us in this league home or away except for, you know, City in a long time. So, you know, one player that we didn't mention was Fabinho, who is rested, didn't play against Villa, and completely ready to go for the City game. I think he's going to have a monster game. City's defense is kind of shaky right now, you know, and so is ours. We haven't had a whole lot of clean sheets recently at all. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I don't really think we're going to, you know, pull a clean sheet off here. I'd love for us to do that, but I don't see their defense holding us to, you know, just 1 or even 2 goals at home. I think there's a chance we get 3. Or something like that, and this could be one hell of a game. I can't wait to go. You know, our local club, Indy 11, plays a semifinal in the USL the night before. I don't care, you know, how late I'm up or, you know, whatever, or whatever's going on with that game, whether we end up on the field or who knows what. I'm not going to sleep very good the night before the City match. Get to UGA as early as I can. So there's talk of tailgating at Union Jack before this game, so that's unconfirmed. And those other board members that I know will listen to this eventually will have a good laugh about that. I'll tell you guys about it. But apparently, there's a certain rum drinking friend of ours. Well, I know you are, but I didn't know if you saw that or not. But a certain rum drinking friend of ours is wondering what's up prior to the game. Nothing official yet, so we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic match. Michael, any thoughts on heading into the City game?
Must win, absolutely must win.
Wow, really?
Yep.
This early in the season, you're pulling a must win tag.
Draw and still be 5 points. Draw and still be 5 points ahead.
Nope, must win. We lost to City last year, and we did not win the league last year because we took 1 point off of City. We took 1 point at Anfield off of City. Had we taken
5 millimeters, 5 millimeters cost us the league.
Had we taken 2 points off of City in either of those, well, no, 2 would have only gotten us still second on goal differential, correct?
Yeah,
something like that. I do know, and if you take the fixtures we played so far this year and match them up to the corresponding fixtures last year, so not 10 versus 10, but us at Villa and, us at Chelsea, those types of things, we're 4 points better this year than we are in the corresponding fixtures last year. Must win. Interesting. I think we will win. But
you know what?
Right,
I'm going to borrow. I'm going to borrow.
I'm going to call it must drink. I'm going to call it must drink. That's for sure.
Okay, so
I have family obligations afterwards, so I got to keep it under control. Unfortunately, I'm not happy about it.
I think Michael's about ready to make a cat bet. So if Liverpool doesn't win, and that would be a draw or a or a loss. Let's heaven forbid. Michael Nead gets a cat. What do you think, Brian? That's what it sounded like to me.
I think if it goes to penalties, Michael should get a cat.
What is this cat bet shit?
Sorry, I'm borrowing that from Pardon My Take on Barstool. I
have no idea what the cat's all about, but Michael, if it goes to penalties, you're getting 4 cats.
If it goes to penalties, Michael, if it goes to penalties, you're getting 4 cats.
I'm not getting any cats. I'm not getting any cats.
He's missing it, Brian. He's still not getting that this game can't go to penalties.
I get to name one of them.
Yeah. You will get to name one of them, Brian, and it will be your roommate.
Come on, Gabe needs some cats.
Quite frankly, I wish that we were playing at the Etihad first.
Yeah,
and had Anfield second. Although I'm happy that we're playing City while we're on the roll that we are. But the one thing that I don't want to do is I felt at the United match that we came out a little timid, that we came out a little reserved. And I think, especially with the shape that City's defense is in currently, that would be a huge mistake. I've heard a shout for Ox starting in lieu of Genie. I'm not sure that I'm entirely on board with that, but I'm not entirely against it either. I mean, I want to go out and I want a City. You know what I mean? I want it to be...
I mean, Champions League 2 years ago, what we did to City.
If it's 3-1 by the 40th minute, I will be very happy.
I don't think it's going to happen, and I hate to be Buzz Gillington, but Pep has said last year.
I'm not sure
on the Liverpool match, you can't go out at Anfield and try and play against Liverpool because you'll just get blown off the park. And I think he still feels that way. And I think because that was what they did last year at Anfield. They nicked a win, and nicked a draw. Or no, nicked a draw. Sorry, nicked a draw. But it was because they sat back and they parked the bus. Pep parked the bus because he was afraid of Liverpool, and it worked. So I could see him doing it again at Anfield.
I'm not disagreeing with you, and that's why I'm not entirely against the Ox shout or.
I think Ox will start because we do need some. a little more attacking flair from the midfield. We do need some outside shots. And
you gonna do that instead of Ginny or Henderson? Because
no, I would do it instead
of
Henderson. Yeah, I was going to get there. Good question. I would do it instead of Henderson. I know it's strange to take your captain off the pitch in a big game like this, but I think it's time. I think Henderson was bad on that Trezeguet goal against Villa. Fell asleep at the far post on a set piece. You can't do that against City. He's not as athletic as Gini. He's not as versatile as Gini. He's not as strong on the ball as Gini. He's maybe a better passer from time to time, but Gini can hit a good ball as well. I want Fabinho, Gini, and Ox in the midfield. If we do that, City will have to sit back on us, and we have a good chance to take a 1-0 lead. And at that point, we're going to start turning it on, and I'm going to start chopping for cats before halftime for a niche.
So here's the thing that I didn't look up too much. Is the injury report coming out of Manchester City? I think we'll get a little bit better idea after they play their game away tomorrow. But apparently David Silva's injured or battling injury, and it might be a game time decision, as well as who was there? Is it Roddy? Sorry, Roddy's also battling injury as well. But still, you have Kun Aguero and you have Kevin De Bruyne. Up top, Gabby Jesus, Leroy Sané's out. Joe, don't say that. And I think and Raheem Sterling. So, we've seen Trent put Sterling in his pocket multiple times now. Robbo do the same thing as well. So I hate to say it, but I'm not as scared of Raheem Sterling in this match. And I don't think he's been playing as well as he has been last year.
I still think that
he's still dangerous. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think
he had a strong first 5 or 6 games this season, but he hasn't been as good the last few. But Silva only played 45 minutes in their last game, which was against Southampton, the come from behind win that you mentioned. So I don't really know if that was injury related or not, but played 45 minutes and then came out for Gabby Jesus. So that could have been more tactical as opposed to being, something that was driven by a knock or something like that, or just might have been, stupid manager getting his players mixed up and just sending on an attacker for a midfielder, but who knows?
So, yeah, I mean, there could be some advantages there. So Fabinho's going to have his hands tied, busy with Kevin De Bruyne, though. That's the one thing that we do know, and I think he'll be up for the task. I'm not gonna go and make a cap bet or anything like that, like Michael did, and say that it's a must win. But I will feel a lot better if there is a win. And I mean, come on, we're putting that record on the line, and I think. And I think Pep's going to be scared. So they're going to counterattack, and granted, they could probably counterattack the best in the league, but especially with their players. But I mean, if you're looking at, I pulled up Physio Room in their injury list. Leroy Sané, we'll see when he comes back. Zinchenko, we'll see when he comes back. Looks like they're already saying Roddy is ruled out. David Silva, there's a 25% chance that he'll be playing. Laporte, no return date. He won't be playing. You're looking at some of their big defending players, and I haven't seen how everybody's lining up, but yeah, if our front three finally start clicking this season, because to be brutally honest, they haven't been clicking at all this season. Like they have in the past. But if they start clicking and they start firing and they start converting these chances that they're getting, it could be dangerous. It could be really dangerous for City, I think. I'm with you guys on their bad defense. Michael says it's must win, so he has it as a win. Brian, what's your take on it?
3-1 Liverpool. Not a must win, but we'll do it. 3-1 Liverpool.
I don't do
Joe, if you're not going to make it to the match, you should offer to buy everybody a beer in the whole pub after we win, like I did, because I knew I wasn't going to the game.
That was great. That was
sorry,
great.
Everybody. Wasn't
there. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it or not, so I'm kind of up in the air. It depends on a lot of different things.
Wife said she can make that bet, so
nope. Nope.
Joe, I think you've owed me a PBR for about 6 years now. So
I don't know if I've known you for 6 years. maybe a Natter Day. If they still have some, I'll buy you a Natter Day. Anyway, okay, so I think that Liverpool is going to have the firepower. So I'm going to put it up as a Liverpool victory. Don't do numbers because I'm always wrong and I hate looking like a fool. So, last topic on the agenda before we start wrapping it up is we have a special announcement. Our next podcast where we cover the Manchester City match won't be until released late on the 19th. I'll be traveling for work next week, and we are going to have a special guest. This person was one of the first people to pop on our list of who we would be kind of like dream interviews. These are people that are not associated with the club except for that they are fans. And his name was one of the first on the list, and it's finally coming to fruition. We've been working pretty hard on it behind the scenes. So right now we are tentative to schedule to interview him on the 19th. So stay tuned. Look out for that next podcast. We'll probably put it in the headline who it is, and we'll do a little bit of our old school style, get to know the person a little bit, and then just jump into this City match. So stay tuned. Please tell your friends. It's really exciting. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Bryan and Michael know who it is. Anything you guys want to add without revealing who our special guest is going to be?
He's good at signing autographs. I will say that.
That's a great story.
And he's a good guy to have a beer with, and many of our listeners have watched the game with this person before. So
there we go. All right. So start wrapping it up. Michael, you're not a regular. Well, you're kind of in that in between regular stage. So I'm going to come to you first, man. Do you have any plugs, non-plugs? Oh, sorry, Michael. Looks like Michael dropped off. It looks like everybody dropped off.
Oh man.
Oh nope. Here we go.
Yeah. No.
Right.
No. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was a technical difficulty.
Michael, plugs, non-plugs, man.
Yes, huge plug to whoever does scheduling at Lucas Oil and or the Indianapolis Colts organization for not allowing the Indy 11 to host a semifinal match in the god-awful to watch a soccer game, Lucas Oil Stadium. Non-plugs. Non-plugs to whoever is putting up the BYB bleachers at said semifinal game because they have not made them big enough. And I know several people that are disappointed at not having gotten entrance to the BYB section. So
is this the last match or the one that's coming up on Saturday?
The one that's coming up on Saturday.
So they've sold out the BYB already?
Oh yeah.
Yes, that was sold out earlier today.
Okay.
Have they announced that it's going to be the same size Brickyard Battalion section that we had for the game last weekend? Is that official?
I do not know. I've talked to a few people already that are not.
Well, I know a couple of ultras, so we can get you in there. So yeah, we were talking about that today with a couple of messages. So
yep, no. So that's my plugs and non-plugs. I'm pretty happy with those.
All right, Bryan, plugs, non-plugs, bud.
Maybe for the first time ever, I don't have a whole lot to plug or to not plug. I agree with everything Michael said about the scheduling, and I guess I do want to plug those local Indy 11 supporters that are doing their very best to help get as many tickets sold for the semifinal match that Indy 11 is going to play in a few nights from now. So it's a lot of fun to be back at the mic, and it's going to be a good time. So I guess non-plug. Yeah, well, that's all right though.
That's what whiskey's for, Joe.
Hey, I've got to handle a fireball if anybody needs to borrow some.
Oh, we said whiskey, not antifreeze.
My official non-plug is to the website for Hard Truth Distillery in Brown County, Indiana. Your website just says where I can get the gin and your cinnamon vodka is not correct. because I've been driving around looking for it and calling places, and I have some connection in the retail industry and some emails that I pulled out of a hat, and your website's wrong. So now I'm plugged to those folks down at Hard Truth Distillery. We'll plug the next person that helps me find some of their stuff and probably buy them a bottle. And I'll take care of the PBR that you're owed, Michael, as well, if you can give me some Hard Truth Distillery gin.
Yeah, everybody just owes Michael a PBR. It's kind of default.
I mean, most people do.
Just like Michael.
I'm banking
loves
those
cats.
for the day that I become just absolutely destitute and depressed, and I really need like 19 shitty American adjunct lagers. And, I'm just.
Well, I mean,
one final plug, Joe. I got one more if you let me.
Go for it, bud.
The Army ROTC tailgate just outside of Notre Dame Stadium, about 150 steps from Gate B, is unbelievable. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. Ask me about it sometime. I talked to the guys who were in charge of the flyover, the colonels. I mean, I'm not going to go on and on. I do that way too much when I'm talking to you guys, but yeah, a big plug to everyone that put that on, and well done to our daughter for getting us connected and getting us into there too. That was pretty badass. So gonna go do it again in a couple of weeks with my dad, who was in the Army. So that'll be my way in this time, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
What do you got tonight, Joe? You got anything to plug or not plug?
My plug is to the teachers at Clearwater Elementary School, formerly John Strange Elementary School, in Washington Township, Indianapolis, Indiana. Today was e-learning day. Not a fan of that as a remote employee, but did have parent-teacher conferences, and it was really nice to speak with the teachers and get reports on my two children. There's good and there's always some improvement needed, especially if you're my child. And so it was really good. They do a good job up there, and we're really pleased with that school.
So your kids got to watch the match with you or listen to the match. Well, hold on. Your kids were, well, I guess.
No, they were downstairs watching TV. I was upstairs working and had the game on. And then it would spontaneously switch to some city match from God knows when. It was weird. It was weird. I'd be hearing Steve, and all of a sudden it changed to a different voice. That's kind of a non-plug. I have two non-plugs. One is to the FA for backing down on Son's red card. People are trying to talk intent. Bullshit. He injured a player. Granted, he was given a yellow first, and then it went to red. But if there's, at least the way that I read the rules, if it is a bad tackle and you have no chance at getting the ball, and you still go in, and you are reckless, that is a straight red card. Just like as if you happen to throw an elbow in when you're jumping for a head ball and you make contact with somebody's head, that is a straight red card, and it should be.
What if you put your boot up to a goalkeeper's forehead, and whether you decapitate the guy or not, it's a red card for putting your boot up?
Because you don't mean to. I don't mean to kick him in the head.
Tattooed on the side of his head.
I didn't mean to kick him in the head.
I wasn't trying to.
I wasn't trying to. I was trying to bring the ball down. Sorry, but
Joe, here's a non-plug related.
That was a red card before that guy's foot went sideways when he landed. It was a red card before that.
Yeah,
agreed. Here's a non-plug for you, Joe. Martin Atkinson for screwing up that call the first time, and then the second time, and then the FA disallowing it.
Yeah, just ridiculous. I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe they rescinded that. The guy's career might be over, and once again, a Tottenham Hotspur player gets a card rescinded or something favorable with the FA. So people want to talk about how the FA has it out for Liverpool to win the league this year or whatever. They really need to pay closer attention to the freaking Divey McDiverson over at Tottenham Hotspur, and how they get away with literally injuring people, and it's just a yellow card. Ridiculous.
Now, Joe, Spurs, they're allowed to battle United for 11th. And they're holding off Wolves and West Ham and Burnley and Newcastle and Villa and Everton, all within one game of United. If they, those guys lose and Everton win, and guess what? Everton go from 17th to past them. So
what frustrates me is that it's blatantly obvious that the FA has hitched their wagons to Harry Kane, whether that's for the national team, with him getting the captain's armband, when there are more deserving players than Harry Kane, and or whatnot. I can't stand Harry Kane, and that might be part of it. But they've hitched their wagon, so they're going to do everything they can to make him be their poster child. So that there might be something there, and it might just be some bitterness on my behalf as a Liverpool supporter. But that it is what it is.
I can make you feel better about that, Joe, because both Spurs and United are 8 points ahead of the dreadful winless Watford. Okay, United and Spurs are 8 points ahead of winless in last place Watford, but they're 18 points behind us.
It's great, isn't it?
That'll make you feel good and sleep good tonight for sure.
I'm also, my other non-plug is for Absolutes, and not the vodka.
Good vodka.
Not the vodka. Was told this week that no matter what, there are no excuses for missing the Indy 11 playoff game. Sorry, but I don't like Absolutes, and also the fact that it was from a Manchester City fan did not go well with Joe. Brian saw some pretty malicious text messages from Joe that were not sent out from the podcast account. Because yes, there are quite legitimate. There are some quite legitimate actions, but anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah, non-plug to people that use Absolutes. So yeah, that's all I have. Yeah.
Liverpool must win.
I knew there was a reason why I hated you, and I knew there was a reason why you owe me a PBR.
Sounds like a good name for a cat.
PBR, there you go. And the other one's High, and then you have another one called Life. And then you have another one called Natterday.
Yep, there it is. All four of Joe's new cats.
I do have a cat named Guinness, by the way, and it was going to be named after a beer. Guinness if it was a boy, or a St. Pauli girl if it was a girl.
I thought it was he named it after the record book.
Nope, probably my favorite beer. Okay, so anything else before we start wrapping up, guys? Any new plugs, non-plugs come to mind?
No, let's kill it. This has been like an hour and 48,000 minutes.
31.
We're deep into stoppage time.
We're in stoppage time. All right, thank you everybody for downloading and listening. Please tune in. Tell your friends if you like what we do, or you know anybody that is a Liverpool fan that likes podcasts. You can find us on any of the main podcast outlets where you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you want to get a hold of us, we'll have our contact information in the data field that comes along with the podcast, and that's about it. We'll see you guys on or before or after the 19th of November. Signing off for episode 96 of the Indie Reds podcast. I'm your host, Joe Dilling. You'll never walk alone.